Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Daily DVR. And this time I'm going to be talking about a product that I was really excited about and still am. It's the Runcam Split 2. So if you're not familiar with the Runcam Split in general, basically it's an FPV and HD DVR in one. So on a quad that's maybe a little bit too small to carry a GoPro session or too light, or you just really want to save weight but get HD recording, this will run you about $79.99, and it does a job of both. Significantly lighter and less bulky than trying to stick a GoPro on a low 3-inch quad like this. So that's probably the biggest advantage. The total weight of the Runcam Split 2 is about 25 grams, which is roughly twice the weight of like a Runcam Mini. Substantially lighter than having to carry an FPV camera and a GoPro. Some of the disadvantages of you can't have a separate FPV camera angle and GoPro camera angle. Obviously, you're recording and getting your FPV feed from the same camera. And then typically, in most cases, you're gonna, depending on your frame, but in almost any situation, you're gonna get some props in the shot. Whereas if your GoPro is mounted up top, it's going to be clear of the props. So there's some compromises, but if you're using it in an application where this just isn't really possible, this thing works pretty good. So the way this works is you basically have a camera that's about the size of a Runcam Mini up front, and then there's a ribbon cable that connects the camera to this board on the top of the stack. So it is a 30mm by 30mm board. So if you've got a really small micro with a 20mm stack, you're going to have to figure out a way to stick this thing in here. I did kind of choose this frame purposely with the Runcam Split 2 in mind when I did this build. So I knew there'd be plenty of height in here to fit the all-in-one ESC, the flight controller, and the Runcam. And this thing is a 3-inch quad, but it can accommodate the 30 by 30 stack, 30mm stack. Yeah, that's kind of one thing you got to keep in mind. So if you've got a really kind of slammed quad, or something like a Japalura where there just isn't a lot of extra room in your stack, you are going to need some space on the top of your stack. You do have a Wi-Fi module port here, as well as a micro USB port on the left here, and your memory card slot. One of the biggest improvements they made in version 2 is the way the memory card goes in and out. It was basically impossible in version 1 to kind of get the memory card in and out once the board was installed, because it had this little mechanism that you had it was like a lift door. So now the memory card just slides in, and there's a little metal clip that's going to keep it in place in case of a crash, and that does work. I did crash, and it sprung out the SD card, but the clip saved it. So this clicks in, it's got a spring just kind of like a camera. I don't know if you can hear that. And then once it's clicked in, this little retainer will help hold it in case of a crash. So you just, pretty neat actually. So really easy to get the memory card in and out. Some of the other things they changed was they increased the voltage input range. This thing does draw a significant amount of power. I think it's 650 milliamps. So you want to keep that in mind when you figure out your power solution. I do have a 3 amp 5 volt BEC on the flight controller in here. So that's powering both my VTX03 at 200 milliwatts and the camera at no problem. So just make sure that you have that if you're going to power 5 volts, that you have enough current available. But one of the advantages of upping the voltage range means you don't have to go off the 5 volts. So you can put it off, 4S voltage, if you don't have enough current left in your BEC or however you're getting your power. So it does come with the RC25G. This is the GoPro style lens from Runcam. So this wasn't included in the first version, but it is included in the second version, and this lens is pretty good. I'll show you guys both some DVR footage and some high-def recording in day and night, so you can get a feel for how the camera looks. Definitely going to get to that. You do have 1080p 60 on here is the maximum resolution and frame rate. So that's really ideal. That's fine. You do have wide, medium, and narrow view. There is no super view like you'd find on a GoPro, but again, I mean, you're getting pretty close to what you get out of a GoPro session for a lot less weight and size. So again, in a build like this, I'd never do this. So this is a great way to get HD footage. The FPV feed is really good as well. You actually do have less options for your FPV camera settings than you would on like a normal Runcam or Foxeer camera. And I'll kind of show you the settings you have. You can access the settings in a couple different ways. You can, there's a couple of buttons. There's 2 buttons right here, 1 and 2. So you can kind of hold one button down and you can get your, it's not a like OSD overlay in the goggles like a normal Runcam. You actually, it like goes into its own screen. You can't see the FPV feed anymore, and there's some menus in there, and they basically just mirror what is available on the app. And I'll show you how the app kind of looks. And all this said, I'm not going to show you the on-screen display menus because all the options are the same. We'll kind of run through the menu options and take a look via the app. This is the Wi-Fi module. It is included with the Runcam Split 2. So if you wanted to connect to the Split via your phone to get a preview, I'll show you how that works. So basically you just take the Wi-Fi module and plug it into the little slot. This is improved from the first version as well. The first version had this vertical piece that was harder to plug in. This one just plugs straight into the side of the board. So that works great. So mine is set up to automatically start recording when I power up the craft, and I like that. I'll show you, you don't have to do that. So I'm just going to stop the recording by pressing the left-hand button, and then Runcam creates a Wi-Fi network that you need to connect to on your phone, and then once you're connected to it, you can access it via the app. And the solid blue light in the middle means the Wi-Fi should be on. And there we go. Hey, what's up? We've got our preview here, and there's not a ton of settings. There's white balance. You can set it to automatic, or sunny, or cloudy, or fluorescent, or whatever. I just leave it on auto. You've got your field of view, wide, medium, and narrow, and you can see the difference between those three. I think most people are going to want to leave this on wide. I guess if you really want to get the props out of the shot, and I'll show you what it looks like later, I guess you can make this a little more narrow, and if you can see, not quite out there. Let me narrow. You still kind of see my props a little bit, and if you go to wide, they're in the shot, but it's not horrible on this frame. I can live with it. And then you've got spot metering if you want to use spot metering. And what this basically means is instead of taking average auto exposure, it would expose for it. Not really something you're going to use because you're always upside down in different ways anyway. What else do we have here? Image flip. So if you've got your camera rotated, installed upside down, you can flip it over. Okay, and then you've got slow motion on and off. I don't know. I guess I'm going to leave that off. And then here's your resolution and bitrate options. So you can do 1080 or 720. You can do 720 only in 60 frames a second at 20 megabits. And 1080p 60 frames a second at 30 megabits. So that's passable. That's enough. That's where I record with mine. And just have a photo mode if you want to take a picture. I don't really think you're going to typically use that, or I wouldn't. Some other settings in here. So these are basically all the camera settings you get. And this is included for your FPV feed. So wide dynamic range, and that's it. There really isn't all the stuff you're kind of used to in a normal Runcam. You can set it to NTSC or PAL if you want to change that. Full screen TV out. This is for the FPV feed. So if you change this, you'll get a 16:9 letterbox in the FPV feed. I'm not really going to show you that. It's weird if you basically, I would say you want to leave this off. Now it does crop the image slightly in the FPV feed. You're seeing a 4x3, or at least if you have 4x3 goggles, and I think it's the same thing for 16 by. I haven't tried these with 16x9 goggles, so I couldn't really tell you, but I don't think you're going to get true 16x9 in like a Dominator V3. I think what you're going to get is a letterboxed 16x9 and a 4:3 screen stretched. At least that's what it seems like to me. So I leave that on. TV out icon. There are some overlay icons that you can have on this, add to the screen. You do get a blinking red light in the top right of the FPV feed when it's recording. I feel like that's good enough. And if you have your split connected to your video transmitter, if your video transmitter supports audio, you would turn this on to allow the audio to go out to the VTX. I'm not using that, so I have it off. There is an onboard microphone, and then it does record. The HD recordings do have audio, so that's pretty cool. I'll listen to that in a little bit. Your Wi-Fi password, Wi-Fi settings, turn Wi-Fi on automatically. Now, when you are running connected via Wi-Fi, it doesn't broadcast an FPV feed, so you can't like preview this from the phone while you're flying. When you turn on Wi-Fi, the FPV feed kind of goes away. Volume for the video. I didn't even realize that was there. I guess you can change the video recording volume. It seems fine at default. Auto record. This is basically when you boot up your quadcopter, power up your quadcopter, it'll just start recording automatically, which I think works great because you'll never forget to record, but you can obviously turn that off if you prefer. And auto shutdown, you can tell it to turn off after a certain amount of time if you like. Control mode, so you can connect this to a UART on a Betaflight board and control set up modes and Betaflight and control recording via your Taranis. I don't really feel like I didn't do that. I don't feel like it's totally necessary. I just kind of turn it on and it records and the FPV works. There's not a lot of settings to change in here. So basically I just wanted to record every time I turn the quadcopter on, and it really works great. So that's about it for the app. That's all the settings. Like I said, not as many kind of camera settings that you expect from like a normal Runcam, but I'll show you some DVR. The FPV feed actually looks really good. I don't know if the DVR is going to do it justice, but some of the other people I fly with were pretty impressed with the quality of the FPV feed, especially in low light at night. So it looks pretty good. All right, guys, well, stay tuned. I'll show you some of the DVR footage. I'll show you the HD recording in a couple of different light settings, some daytime, some nighttime. I think the HD recording is very, very good. I think the newer GoPro Session has an edge. But I think it's kind of on par with the GoPro Hero Session 4, or Hero Session, I guess it's just called, for the most part. So I'll let you be the judge of that. I didn't do any kind of color correcting or anything to the video in Premiere. It's just kind of raw, but probably we'll see some blockiness or artifacting from the YouTube compression. It looks very, very clear. The raw video looks extremely clear, and the color is okay. It's pretty good. So the lens, the GoPro style lens, does definitely help out with that. I'd say for $80, if you want to get HD recording and you don't want to add a GoPro, I mean, it's basically $40 extra over the price of what you'd be paying for a kind of a standard FPV camera anyway, and only about 12 or 13 additional grams, and you can get some HD recording on pretty much any quad you want. So not perfect, not really going to replace a GoPro. I think everybody kind of realized this when the Split first came out. But for like a 3-inch build, like the Eclair Pro here, I think it's awesome. It's really cool to be able to get that HD recording, not just DVR. Thanks again for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll try to get back to you. Have a good one.
You're not as clever as you think you are. You try to run, but you won't get that far. I'm right behind you like we're racing, like a chase scene. All your endeavors end with no regret. You play it cool while you try to forget, but it's right behind you like it's racing, like a chase scene. racing, like a chase scene. All your endeavors end with no regret. You play it cool while you try to forget, but it's right behind you like it's racing, like it's chasing. Just like we're racing, like a chasing. Now I'm on your heels and I'm inside your head. I'm on the scene and I'm inside your bed. I'm moving quick just like we're racing.